growing up and seeing these two mountains and there's a little gap in the middle. And I'm thinking, what's through that gap? Is there another whole world I don't even know exists out there? I left Gloriavale when I was 14, and when I was 19, I was given the opportunity to reconnect with my whakapapa, which then led me to want to learn our reo, and that has now led me into wanting to return up here. Ko te whenua nei ko haupiri, nāna I tipu au. Ko Valiant Overcomer tōku ikoa, and this is my story.
Valiant Overcomer was born and raised at Gloriavale. He's the 9th of 12 siblings, born to a Ngaitahu mother and Pākehā father.
I've always known that I'm Māori. Our mother, I cannot remember her speaking it, but I knew we were Māori. Whether it is we had slightly different skin colour to everyone else, you know.
We're a family people.
Valiant's roots in Gloriavale run deep. His taua joined when leader Neville Cooper, known as Hopeful Christian, was based at Cust, near Ōtautahi. In the 1990s, Cooper moved his followers to Haupiri on Te Taipōtini. The Overcomers were one of just a handful of whānau Māori.
I remember sitting at the breakfast table. I'd be 11, 12 years old, and Hopeful openly says that Māori, Indian, these are dirty people. He's putting us a level below him, below white people. He didn't say these words, but this is the intention, you know. I'm getting the message. We're getting the message that we're second-class citizens. I'm not sure what he expected with a place like Gloriavale, but my family, they did really well, and they also got treated the worst. There was a vibe, an unspoken vibe, that we were the underdogs.
In 1995, Hopeful Christian was found guilty and jailed for the sexual abuse of young people at Gloriavale. Despite being sentenced to 5 years imprisonment, he was released after just 11 months and returned to the community. What was the relationship between your whānau and Hopeful Christian, Neville Cooper?
Hopeful, from my observation as a kid, he really, really liked my whānau, and he really, really disliked my whānau. It was this thing where he, in his mind, he had blockages against people that have skin colour. But also what he could see within my whānau is people like my older brother who could run that place. But that's why my brother left, because they wanted to make him a leader. And he said, okay, cool. And then he said, actually, I don't agree with this, and this. And so that's the process that happened.
That process saw Valiant's older brother Elijah and his wife Rosie become the subject of a long-running campaign to break the couple apart, after Elijah began to challenge the leadership over abuse within the community. Eventually they left, and it wasn't long before Valiant had questions of his own.
Well, as you develop, whatever situation you're in, we all have access to our conscience, which can tell us when things are off and on. And within that, in Gloriavale, I knew at the age of 10, 11 that leaders that are coming into my room, so the leadership, shepherds and servants, the SS, these people that are coming into my room that are servants and shepherds and speaking with my family, and one, why do they have the right to walk into our space? First of all, it's the tiniest room, you know, we have a small little room for our own family. These people think they have the right to come in here and start to talk to certain individuals in my family. My dad, he opens the door for them. My dad doesn't stop them from entering the room. Why do they have that right? And so that was when I started to develop this understanding of what's going on.
How did people exercise their power in there?
So I can still remember it clear as day. 12 years old, I'm walking through a building. I've got a pack on my back. There's a particular person up there, he might have been 27, 28 at the time, married, 3 kids. He needs some kind of credibility in this place. He needs to start climbing the hierarchy. So he's like, oh, here's a kid, I'm going to search his pack. So he searches my pack, confiscates a knife, confiscates a jacket or a piece of clothing I'm not meant to have, and this is this whole to get him into a higher position within that hierarchy system. I remember seeing my siblings getting Sunday comes, or as they call it, the first day, the Lord's Day, and this is where they have their SS meetings. And I watched my family from, I'm a young kid watching my siblings that are in their teenagers getting taken to these meetings, and then they come out and then 3-4 hours later, they're just distraught. You kind of see them going through this whole process of trauma from this meeting they've gone through, which could be compared to hell on a psychological level.
Valiant says those meetings were just one of many ways Gloriavale's leadership maintained control over their flock. Another was the return of Jesus.
We used to sit around on the Sunday night meetings, hopefuls walk around in a circle saying, it could be now, folks, and we sit in silence for 5 minutes waiting for Jesus to come back. While downstairs I can smell the Irish stew cooking, and I'm thinking, we've been in this meeting 3 hours, why don't I just walk down and have a feed, come back and then go up with Jesus? A lot of them have a false sense of hope, which is, oh well, the Lord Jesus is gonna come back. They didn't buy feed for their cows one time because Jesus is coming back. Yeah, when things get really tight and under pressure in there, they start to lean onto the Christ is coming back, so it's all good. And I'm unsure, it's almost like you put yourself through a torture chamber. You say, I am a warrior on this earth suffering, so my life in heaven's going to be great. This is the whakaaro.
By the time Valiant was 14, he had achieved NCEA level 1, 2 and 3 and was working up to 100 hours a week on the community farm. He didn't realise it yet, but his time at Gloriavale was about to come to an end.
When I was 14, went into a meeting with 2 of my older sisters because of something we had helped with a whānau leaving. I remember them asking me a question in that meeting. I then replied to them, and within my reply, half the room is laughing at me. So this is a manipulative tactic. You've got men from the age of 35 to 82 in this, and these men are laughing at you. They're making you feel extremely small in the room. They're making you feel like what am I doing? I must be completely wrong. But in the same feeling, I'm also feeling like, what's going on? I'm kind of figuring out their programming and their manipulative systems in real time in this particular meeting. One of my older sister walks into the meeting, whispers to Hopeful and says, oh, Elijah's here. And because he's deaf, he says, speak up, love. And so he's sitting on the other side of the circle in this meeting. And she says, Elijah's here. By this time, I'm distressed as a 14-year-old kid. I'm going, I don't know how I can handle this. I'm crying. I'm just getting freaking bullied in here in this meeting. I'm over it. I hear my brother's turned up on the property just randomly on this day. He's turned up and he's driven right in. By the way, he's not allowed to do that at this time. He's not allowed on that property in their eyes. So I'll look at my 2 sisters. A few of the leaders leave to go and most likely try and get him off the property, whatever that looks like. And then I look at my sister, I'm like, I think I'm gonna go see him. And they look at me like, if you walk out those doors, we're coming with you. Which is exactly what we do. I see my dad on the way over. I said, hey Dad, I'm going to see Elijah. He's in full panic mode, like, hey, we've got to calm this whole situation down. Eli needs to get out of here, kind of thing. He says, you're not going, son. And I said, okay, that's fine. I won't go then. I'm 14, I won't be leaving with him. I walk over, I see like by the end there's about 70 people standing around him, you know, guys saying, we don't want you here, you need to leave. You know, it's starting to crank up a little bit, like, you know, getting a crowd around. He then looks at me. As soon as I look at him, I just start crying. I'm like, oh, bro, I'm just getting hammered at this meeting. He says, Val, get in the car. Like, at least you're going to be safe sitting in the back of my truck. So I hop in the truck. Hopeful comes out and he says, if you want to go, whoever wants to go can go. And I'm like, perfect. My dad's decision just gotten overridden by Hopeful. This is me, I'm out of here. So I go and literally fill up a pack of clothes and hop in the truck. 10 minutes later, we're driving out the drive. The two sisters that were in the meeting with me, they're also in the back of the truck. That's how we left. Driving down that drive was probably one of the hardest and slowest drives I've ever been on. It was very emotional. Starting to feel, what have we just done? We're just walking out from the place that we've been raised. We're going to drive across that bridge at the end of the property, through the gate that says, once you drive out that gate, you're going to hell. And we've made this decision. And we've, in a way, would rather go to hell than be in there at this point in time.
Huge.
Yeah. Sign me up to hell.
Instead of being signed up to hell, Valiant was enrolled in a country school in Fairlie, where his brother Elijah was running a farm and raising his tamariki with wife Rosie.
So she's just had their 5th child, and so we're living in the house. I go to school. I'm literally in school within 2 weeks, I think, country school. In my head, I'll finish my qualifications, but my oldest sister, who's already left a few years earlier, she tells me, you need to go to school, you need social work, you need to start this whole process of living in the outside world. That country school, they just wrapped around me. They really looked after me. The naughty boys actually were the ones that were my closest mates, because they had my back. It didn't matter what's going on, they've got me.
While Valiant and his sisters started to build a life outside Gloriavale, their parents and 5 siblings remained inside. But their whānau bond would prove unbreakable.
We decided we need to go see our mum. It's been 3 months. We turn up in Gloriavale one night. They get onto us really fast. They stop us halfway up the road, and within about half an hour, there's probably 40 people, just a people blockade. And we've actually got gifts for them and for our mother. And at this time, we sit there for about 5 hours at the gate, talking with the community, whatever's going on. And then we all hop in the car. So there's me, my 2 sisters that I live with, Elijah, his wife, and we say, right, we're just going to stay here and we're just going to sit tight. And then in about half an hour, we're going to all get out of the car and we're just going to start walking through them. We're going to take this stuff to our mum. We're going to see our mum. So they're not letting our mother come down to the gate where we are. So my brother's got these gifts. He starts walking with them. This little short fella comes out, hot, fiery as, and just smacks the stuff out of his hands. And so that just flicks something on my brother. I've never seen him before. He says, no one's stopping me, I'm going up to see my mum. And he just starts walking through these guys. I think it took about 5 people they finally get my brother, drag him back. After that experience, I think they realised we're going to be a problem. We're not going to go away. And so the next day, they allowed us my mother and father, to come down and talk with us. As soon as our mum walked across the gate, we grabbed her And we were just like, we just need to sit with her. And they were kind of getting on edge, like, we need to protect her. I was like, yeah, don't you try and protect our mother from us, you retards. But yeah, that's what that was like.
How is your mum? He wahine Māori tō mama?
Aye,
So
tino Māori.
half her tamariki are out and the other half are still in. What was that like for her?
You're right, 7 out, 5 in. I'm sure at this time she's just going through a process, you know, like, I've just had 3, because she's never had 3 children leave at the same time. She's had 1 leave, the next leave, the next leave, her son and their family leave. This time she's had 3, just bang, gone. And so she's really, I'm sure she's in this whole process of, you know, how am I going to look after my family when I can only look after half of them in there and I can't even barely have access to the other half outside.
But they wouldn't be apart for long. A serious injury to one of Valiant's sisters created an unexpected opportunity for the Overcomer whānau to reunite. Valiant's parents were permitted to care for her in a house off grounds, and for the first time, the siblings could come and go freely to see them. Within months, they were ready to leave Gloriavale for good. He tohu o tō rātou aroha mauroa. What makes your whānau so tight?
Oh, the backbone of our whānau, which is our mother. If you sent that lady with a one-way ticket to Egypt, within a week, she'd have a place to stay, she'd have a job before she got off the plane, she'd have about 20 mates that all know her address. Like, this lady's just nothing's a problem. I don't think I've ever had a problem with her in my life. So this unconditional love, she's our Jesus. She's our unconditional love portal to our family. And so because you've got this portal of unconditional love, well, we're pretty inseparable, because if there's a raru ki waikanui ngā tamariki, well, she'll just puts a bit of love on it and then let it sort itself out. She was born and raised in Tuahiwi Pā. And so from this perspective, she grew up in Te Ao Māori. And so the things that she would have learnt, and that as well as in her blood, I'm sure this is why we have been able to keep communicating as a whānau and working together.
The entire Overcomer whānau are now out of Gloriavale. But for Valiant, freedom came with its own challenges. He moved to Australia for work, and like many young people, began experimenting with alcohol and drugs. But in 2019, during a trip back to Aotearoa, a new path began to emerge.
I see an email from Ngaitau saying that they have a hikoi, te ara whakatipu, nā kahuraki mahuika me tāna mama, Cara Edwards e whakahaere. And then I see this and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll sign up for that. I'll go do that and I'll go back to Australia. So we meet up in Queenstown. I meet this guy, Kahu. I'm like, bro, this guy is like the man. This is like my first... Yes, I've got Māori mates, but he's actually living a Māori life. He's on the whenua, he's running kaupapa. And by night 1, I'm like, okay, I've got to be vulnerable. I've actually got to communicate on this kaupapa. What's going on? And so things start to stir inside of me, and I start this wānau of, what is this? Te ao Māori, this is my whakapapa, but well, what does this even mean? Night 2, I just start opening up in that circle of wānaka of just, it's literally just the why are you here question. And because that question, I'm asking myself, well, why am I here? I don't even know why I'm here. I don't even know what's going on. Why do I feel love? Why am I? And then I just start crying when I'm speaking. I'm like, far out. I haven't been in a space that I've been able to sit there and just express myself like that. I've never in my life been in that space. And so that was the start of my journey in Te Ao Māori.
He rongoa?
Oh, he tino rokoa. Yeah. And in Te Ao Māori and Te Reo Māori and on this haereka is I can see so many correlations. I can understand what's going on in certain locations, certain whakaaro I had as a kid, I'm going, oh, I'm starting to understand this whole thing, what's going on. I'm starting to get closer to my life purpose, or walking in my life purpose. Yeah, absolutely.
Part of that purpose has been reconnecting with Gloriavale in Te Tai Pūtini. He uri no Ngāti Waiwai, he hononga tōna ki tēnei whenua.
I have a relationship with the whenua haupiri. Nā te whenua haupiri i tipu akio. I have communications with people in there that I see beneficial to our success up here. As for a little bit of context, we're up the valley, we're 10 minutes up the road from Gloriavale, just on a basic level of wanting to work with our neighbours. You know, why would I go to a workshop an hour drive away when I can go up there and pay them for fixing our stuff? Why would I use a butcher down in Hokitika when I can just go up the road, 10 minutes up the road, and either use their facility or work with them? So that's my relationship right now with Gloriavale, is a working relationship.
Tell us your concerns about the wairua and the hinengaro of the people that are still there.
On a grey day, it's pretty grey up there, from my experience, because it can be really hard up there for people to even have hope for the future. What are they hoping for, you know? That they're starting to lose the whole vision. When we were kids, you know, Saturday night, we were all out working together, having working bees, having fun, have a big kai together. It was a good time. They don't really do those things anymore, you know, and so that the spirit of actually what that place is seems to be deteriorating.
Is that a concern?
Definitely it is a concern, yeah. Because why live life under some kind of subconscious tyranny, and also living a low quality life in there, and then you've got people out on the outside that want to see that place flattened to the ground, and you know, a dirt paddock left. And I think that's a concern as well, because yes, they are wanting to destroy things that absolutely should not go on, like people living that close. We're having continual sexual abuse problems in there. That's a big problem. That's got to change.
Do you have aroha for the whānau who remain at Gloriavale?
Yeah, absolutely. They're my people. And what I mean by that is, from those people, as I learned these skills, that as a 14-year-old, I can run a small dairy farm, I can build a shed, I can drive a tractor, no problem, I can slaughter an animal from pasture to plate. And when I was learning those skills from those people, I know that it was in love, and we operated in love. It's just all the other things. It's all the other things that actually are quite simple to change, but we have to surrender to the fact that we've gotten something wrong here along the way, and we need to change, and we need to make dramatic change.
There's been big changes for Valiant too. He's now married, and he and his wife Jaga have 2 tamahine. He says becoming a father has given him a deeper appreciation for what the wahine in his whānau endured.
Looking at my sisters and mother and the way they were treated, bottom of the food chain woman. Yeah, absolutely.
What was that like as a brother and a son?
They're lucky I left when I was 14, because if I was 16 and I knew how to use these fists, yeah, it ain't gonna end well.
Hopeful Christian died in 2018, but his legacy of abuse lived on. Last year, former leader Howard Temple pleaded guilty to 12 charges involving 9 girls and women. He's one of several Gloriavale members convicted of sexual abuse or related offences. Police say up to 138 potential victims have been identified. The community is now led by Stephen Standfast. But questions remain about whether real change is possible. What are the changes that could take place to ensure that abuse is stamped out at Gloriavale now and in the future?
When I look at history, I don't know if I've found a system that has been destroyed from the outside. So to change, it must be changed from within. Just for a system to change, it needs to be changed from within.
Are you willing to go back in?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would absolutely be willing to go back in there. Now, operating under their rules? Absolutely not. Operating under the law, the LORE? Yeah, absolutely. And I will say this, I don't think coming under a governmental system is any better whatsoever. Now, a tikanga Māori perspective and operating under tikanga Māori, yeah. I think that's looking at that, it's a safe option for people both in there and people that would like to live there, yeah.
It's been 11 years since Valiant Overcomer left Gloriavale. Jager is studying te reo Māori at te wānanga o Raukawa, and Valiant is working on a farm near Haupiri. Valiant says he'll never turn his back on the community he grew up in. Instead, he believes the best way forward is to keep the door open.
There's people in there that see the one-way bridge at the end of the property, and there's two gates like this, and they open like that, and they close. You can leave, but you can't come back. And there's people that have left that have that whakaaro. I'm not allowed to go back there. It's been programmed into them. And then there's people in there that see the gates another way, they swing inwards, which is people are allowed to join, but we can never leave. And so I think what a healthy relationship with Gloriavale and the outside world is when we oil the hinges and the gates are going like this. That's what we need, interaction that isn't restricted. And I'm not talking about mandatory interaction, which is what they now have through government entities, work, health and safety, those, but, like people and children that have grown up there that can return, people in there that would like to move on, just a bit more of an easier process. And it is getting easier and it is getting better, but it must keep going.
He aha tō karere ki ngā tamariki e pakeke ana ki Gloriavale?
It's okay to be that out of the box thinking. And me mau tonu ki tēnā. Yeah, hold on to that. Hold on to that way of thinking. Don't let it be programmed out of you. Yeah, te tiro ki ruka ki te mauka. Nāna I whākai ki a koe. Te tiro ki te awa. Nā te awa I whākai ki a koe. Te tiro ki te whenua. Me whakaroko ki te whenua. Nāna I te aki ki a koe.
Ka haia te ata haro ana te kāhu e te pare nui a whitirere taura ki ka pāki I whakatega te kāu aitaha ka pōpō te rairu ka aura ki topa tau atu taku manuki te ara whenne a ki wā ka ura te raki tau atu au ki te tai o Pōtini ka tā epa ka waiwai o te a te whenua tapa hia e taku tīpuna tahu pātiki ka tau au ki konei e ka tau au ki konei e taku manu ka tau hei.
Ko te reo, te take.